Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here today. Administrator Szabo, thank you for being here as well. I wanted to talk to you briefly about All Aboard Florida, which I know is a project you're aware of. So, you know, as it currently proposed, the public benefits of that project will largely be concentrated in the areas like West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Orlando, where the stops are, but it would impose some costs and impacts to all local governments along that corridor. And in particular, there's this feeling along the corridor in some of the areas that don't have that concentration, that there are virtually no public benefits provided to them, but all the costs that come along with this project. And we're hearing a lot of concern about that from our constituents. In particular, I wanted to ask you a couple points and see where FRA is with regards to this. You know, in the midst of conducting an environmental impact statement for the project, I've heard from constituents and local officials who support this project, and I've also heard from constituents, including many in the Treasure Coast, which is just north of West Palm Beach, expressing concerns about the impacts this could have on their communities. The issues they're concerned about are safety at the gate crossings and noise pollution. And I passed these comments along to the FRA as we've gotten them, and I hope the agency has reviewed them. Can you share with us whether you are taking these concerns into consideration when you're making assessments and conducting oversights over these projects?
Yeah, Senator, it's really important, and I strongly encourage you as well as all citizens to stay engaged in the EIS process to make sure that they get their concerns, make their voices heard, and gets on the record in that process. Because that process is, in fact, what is used to make sure that these concerns get addressed, as the project moves forward. So, yes, we're hearing the concerns. We're making sure that everything gets forwarded to the record. Rest assured there will be, a robust process with public hearings. And for, those people that have reached out to us, we'll make sure that they're aware of those public hearings. We'll make sure that they're fully publicized. So all of these concerns get on the record, and we ensure that there are measures to address these concerns as part of that record.
Let me ask specifically about safety. There's already been an EIS conducted on the West Palm Beach to Miami segment, and an issue, and you issued a finding of no significant impact. In that finding, the FRA lists over 120 locations for proposed crossing upgrades. Is the FRA proposing that those crossings be upgraded, or are those upgrades that are being recommended by All Aboard Florida? Do you know?
No, we intend to hold All Aboard Florida to the highest standard of safety. We have guidance that is out there for the grade crossing protection approaches and systems that we expect in any of our, in this case, it's not a high-speed rail project, it's a regional express project, but there's standards for that. And we expect that high bar to be met.
So it's safe to say that the FRA is going to be monitoring these crossings to ensure that they're upgraded and to ensure that the public safety is protected. You're not just deferring to All Aboard Florida on issues like crossing upgrades.
No, we plan to hold them accountable on that.
Okay. And then on the funding side of it, as you may be aware, All Aboard Florida has applied for a railroad rehabilitation and improvement financing loan. My question is about the review of this loan. Does FRA strictly look at the financial stability and proposed business plan when deciding to award the loan, or do you take local comments and concerns like the safety and environmental ones that I've mentioned into account as well?
Yeah, when it comes to the loan, it really comes down to two simple questions. Are they eligible? And in this case, the answer is yes. And then two, can we make a finding of repayability? It's strictly a mathematical
financial review.
That's right. That's right. When it comes to the loan, it's not about public policy. It's about, is it eligible, and can we make the documented finding of repayability? So it's a financial transaction. But the EIS is the process that the public needs to continue to use to make sure their voices are heard and that their concerns get addressed.
All right. I have one last question. It has to do with Sunrail, different project.
Okay. We'll go to Orlando.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a new commuter rail system for those that are not familiar with it. It just started operations last month. There was an incident in which a car stalled on the tracks and was struck by a Sunrail train. Luckily, there was no one injured, but the collision, along with other close calls on the rail lines, has prompted calls for additional safety measures on the system. In fact, yesterday, the Florida Highway Patrol announced that it's going to be patrolling Sunrail intersections to make sure drivers are following the law. So as the agency with safety jurisdiction over Sunrail, is FRA looking at these incidents, and what role does the FRA play in recommending safety precautions or improvements?
Are we looking at it? Absolutely. Senator, comes back to a couple of things. First off, the three fundamental premises under Operation Lifesaver, the 3 E's, education, enforcement, and engineering, and we need to make sure we're advancing all of this. But I really take you back to what we're proposing in Grow America. There are significant benefits in there relative to grade crossing safety. That continues to be our biggest challenge nationwide. While I talk about the dramatic drop in rail accidents, incidents, injuries, fatalities across the board, the one vexing challenge we have is on grade crossing safety. And through Grow America, there would be funding available for local communities to make grade crossing enhancements. We also need, to the extent possible, to advance what I call sealed corridors, eliminating grade crossings where possible with the strategic placement of overpasses and underpasses, so we ensure the efficient flow of pedestrians, trains, vehicles. But the safest grade crossing is one that doesn't exist.
Okay, just to close up on just back to the All Aboard Florida for a moment. As you work through the EIS process and the public hearings and so forth, those will be announced through the local, in essence, how can my constituents best know where and when these hearings are going to take place and how they could best input?
There'll be significant public notice, but we'll also make sure that your office is aware. So it's not just going to be the traditional public approach. We'll make sure that your office is aware of those
hearings. We'll work with the congressional delegation and Senator Nelson's office as well in making sure that we get people to turn out and in fact are engaged in this process. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.